Hello, my dear pure souls. Today I want to tell you why the situation on Earth is changing so quickly now. As it advances into the space of increasingly high vibrations, time accelerates in proportion to this movement. In this regard, events are also accelerating, which, on the one hand, are designed to slow down this movement, and on the other hand, to accelerate. And as you understand, in the first case we are talking about the forces of darkness, and in the second about the forces of light. And this struggle between them is already clearly manifested on the physical plane. The most striking example of this was the Olympic Games in Paris, at the opening of which was already demonstrated undisguised Satanism. I know that many of you wonder why globalists are not afraid of anything and so openly show their perversions to the people. In fact, it was another test of submission, like a false pandemic, during which representatives of the deep state tried to feel the limits of permissible influence on people's lives. And since few people managed to pass that test with dignity, they went even further, deciding to accustom people to a perverted reality that completely changes the appearance of humanity, which they tried to do at the show presented to the whole world. But this time they failed, as this show entered into dissonance with the idea of most people about a bright holiday of sports that unites all nations and peoples. At the same time, such a demonstration showed people that Satanism and transgender perversions have already gone on the offensive openly, and if this generation of the deep state is not stopped, it will affect every person on Earth. As a result, this time the plans of the globalists were not destined to come true, and the consequences of this step will now be unpredictable for them. Puppets of the deep state can be buried under a huge wave of awakening of people around the world. Now these people will not ridicule the conspiracy of a small group of awakened people who are fully aware of the tragedy of the situation on Earth, and will seriously think about their future and the future of your planet. The same will happen in the United States of America, where the forces of light and darkness have entered the final stage of the struggle to preserve not only this country, but by and large the whole of humanity, since much is now tied to the events taking place there. As you can see, in Russia, which is assigned the role of the spiritual locomotive of humanity, there are global political shifts, where clean and bright souls who came out of the shadows began a desperate struggle with those who robbed this country for decades, worshipping the golden calf and their Western masters. Everything has now come into motion simultaneously on the subtle and physical plane, and much now depends on each person who has awakened. Each of your thoughts and emotions now works either on the dark or on the light side of this struggle. Remember this, my dear ones, and do not fuel those who crave your destruction with your negative emotions. Find the strength to respond to everything adequately with a deep understanding of the inevitability of such a cruel confrontation, without which the complete victory of the light over darkness is impossible. And, of course, do not miss the slightest opportunity to influence the situation in a positive way, whether it is your bright thoughts, meditations, or physical participation in public actions and activities aimed at combating the globalist program that is detrimental to humanity. Archangel Lucifer, who sincerely loves you, spoke to you.